I want to invite up Clinton Fein, who's here, and I believe the only participant in the meeting that was referenced in the questions. So, okay. So I want to invite up Clinton Fein and then Zenger from the MRSA Action Group. Welcome.
When we met with UCSF, I wasn't part of any group or any organization. I was just someone who had read the Chronicle's atrocious coverage the morning that it occurred, that I think it was a Tuesday. And, you know, it just seemed to me, I mean, there were just so many things wrong with the way that that article was written. And at the urging, actually, I mean, I wrote an editorial about it for one of the blogs that I write for. And it just seemed that the coverage got worse and worse and spread globally very quickly. And the thing was that all evidence actually did point to the UCSF press release is where that misinformation came from. So the fact, I mean, the Chronicle repeated it, but they didn't do much journalism. They just sort of took what was issued by the UCSF press release. And Michael Petrellis, who is a seasoned activist and who has a style very different to mine, had tried to get someone at UCSF, particularly Barbara French, the Vice Chancellor, to meet with him and wasn't having success. And so I agreed to write a letter to her and to ask to convene a meeting with us. And I have to say that it was an incredibly productive meeting. We did discover quite a few things. I mean, you know, probably the most important things to come out of it were, number one, that UCSF was going to convene an internal task force to look into how they could prevent something like this from happening again. You know, one of the issues raised was that they had to balance providing information in terms of a press release that also served healthcare providers in knowing what to look for. And, you know, one of the suggestions we came up with was perhaps, you know, then tailor two press releases. Have one for the healthcare providers so they know what to look for, and one for the transcribers at the media organizations that write about it. That really was, I think, a useful thing to come out of that, in addition to being more transparent about what studies are in the pipeline. Because no one was saying sugarcoat studies that have an impact on any community and pretend they don't exist. That wasn't the issue. The issue was that, number one, this wasn't one of them. This is widespread.
Please go ahead. Finish.
And
Thank you.
the second thing was to make sure that in the event that there's studies like this in the pipeline, that communities that may be impacted by sensational media coverage of those issues be given an opportunity to figure out how they're going to respond and defend themselves against people who are going to misuse those kinds of studies. So that essentially was the gist of the meeting. And the only other thing I think is really worth saying is that in the event that the health department or, you know, any of these public health departments do anything, that it needs to be, not only will it contribute to some of the homophobic overtones of how this was sort of played out, but the gyms are a place to go. Not the usual places like, you know, Stop AIDS and all of those organizations. It's great that they're part of that dialogue, but what about reaching out to the gyms in the city? What about reaching out to the schools, the high schools, and making sure that places where, regardless of your sexual orientation or your race, you need to know what you can do to take care of yourself.
Thank you for your leadership and your efforts to have UCSF stop and listen.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.